Welcome to Morning Call, a podcast where we share our experiences around letting go of grief and learn to move with grace through mourning. We are your hosts, Alyce Christina
and Crystal Lee, two friends who connected through yoga and movement and ultimately found a deeper connection over our own parental losses.
We share how our experiences have informed us to live our lives more authentically, boldly, and in the now so that you can do the same. We believe where there is pain, there is transformation.
From the loss of a loved one to change in a career, a heartbreak, identity shift, and many other forms of loss, we walk this path together.
To discover the light within the darkness, we recognize the joy within pain and invite you to dive in with us as we share in the hope, laughter, and lightness of the mourning journey.
Join us for stories, interviews, and conversations that connect us as we explore the universal experience of loss that invokes the becoming of one's true self.
Welcome back, everyone, to Season 2. I am so excited, honored, and thrilled to be introducing our guest, my daughter, Amelia Jean Moran. She is almost 12. December 1st, we'll be heading into our preteen times. And she is a 6th grader at the school that I went 6th through 12th grade, Northwest School of the Arts. She is studying visual arts. She is a Sagittarius angel. She is an amazing visual artist and exuberant performer, on and off, or really any stage you give her, the sidewalk or formal. What else? Anything you put your, you are a roller skate queen. Yeah,
Sure.
She really knows how to use those wheels.
Wait a minute, I didn't know that. I have roller skates and rollerblades, so we need to make this happen.
Yeah, we'll have to go take a little day trip to Kate skating ring.
Yeah.
And what else do I want to share about you? She's a lover of many things in life, and I'm super excited to have her here to talk about her own experiences of loss. So with that, Amelia, would you like to share some of your experiences, how you've experienced loss, who you've lost, and maybe if there was one in particular or two that really made a significant impact in your life?
I guess one of the first people I've lost was my grandmother, Mimi, her mother. And then it was kind of like really like my grandparents, not really most of my grandparents, yes. Then it was my grandfather, on my dad's side of the family, and then my grandma's aunt had passed away 2 years after her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your Mimi and your grandpa passed away almost within months of each other. Mm-hmm. And what was that experience like for you?
For me, it was kind of like when I first figured out that my grandmother, Mimi, she had passed away. I was not necessarily stunned, but not in a state where I could accept it. How I didn't want to go back inside that house in her house until she was back, but she wasn't coming back. So
I get that very much so.
And I feel like I've talked a little bit about your experience, and it's okay for you to share it because I've talked about my experience and the conversations because you were 7 when it happened, and that's a lot for a 7-year-old to process. And I know I didn't necessarily sit down and have a conversation with you about the fact that Mimi was dying because it happened very fast. What was that like for you?
See, what's a word? I guess astonished in a way, because when we went and saw her, she was just sitting on her recliner, and like she normally does, but she was sick. What I've been told, she was just sick. And I've seen Mimi sick before. She has been sick, and I thought it was just like any other thing. And then I guess I thought it just was like a really bad sickness, like I don't know, like a flu or something. When she had to get treated in her bed. So, and I guess I was kind of like oblivious to the fact that she was dying.
Do you think at 7, like now at your age now, I'm just curious. I mean, everybody's different. Everyone's answer will probably be different. Do you think you would have been able to like receive that information or at the time?
At age 7,
Yeah. Like, you think you would have like comprehended it or wanted to know or not?
I think honestly it was better than that. I didn't know when, like, right when she was diagnosed with cancer. What type of cancer was it?
Pancreatic.
Yeah. Like, so I think like if I knew like right away, I would like jump straight to like the worst things of like, for example, her dying. But I think it was better to like just think about that she was just sick and she would eventually get better. But I don't know. It was just.
That makes sense.
I think for everyone, I mean, at least my own experience, when Mimi passed away, it was shocking, right? Like we were all kind of in a state of shock. What do you remember what it was like processing that after? Like when you found out?
I guess kind of like being in a void phase where like it was kind of like I wasn't upset about her dying. Wasn't shocked either. I was just, I don't know, it felt strange that she died, you know? Like I've known Mimi all my life, and she was always happy and joyful. And I loved to be around her. She was
a big part of your life.
Yeah. But I guess it was like kind of hard not like seeing her. Like I saw her like almost every other week and
every other day.
And it was just kind of hard like accepting that I wouldn't be able to see her anymore.
Yeah. And strange is such a good word. One of the words I used, because my dad also passed suddenly, was bizarre. Like I was like, it's just bizarre that, like, to your point, this person you're seeing so regularly is just like not there. It doesn't make, like, I think our human brains cannot comprehend that. You know what I mean?
Trying to make sense of it all.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Do you remember like in the process on the other side of like the experience? Because I mean, from my perspective, I think you were having a great time because you were having like you spent the night with your cousins for like a whole week. So I call it like the most epic sleepover ever, right? And for me that was really important that Amelia felt cared for and was in a safe space and was comforted so that, my sister and I could really protect and take care of my mom in that moment and my dad and be there and fully present with them. So that was a blessing. And on the other side, like as we came out of that, do you remember any ways in which you started to feel grief of this significant loss?
I guess like realizing that I wouldn't be able to talk to her anymore, like see her face besides like photos, or actually like physically touch her anymore, because I held her hand most of the time, and like I wouldn't be able to feel. I still have a very distinct feeling of her having her soft hands and feeling her wrinkles on her knuckles. But I guess it was just, I don't know, I was weirded out because like at 7 your brain's definitely still at an earlier stage of your brain developing,
For sure.
and my brain is, yes, still developing, but still I guess it was just like you said, bizarre that I wouldn't see this person that I've seen all of my life, and I don't know.
Do you remember some of the I don't think I've thought about this in a long time, but some of the conversations that we would have, like, especially at night, like that really kind of like the brain is settling down, and it stirred up some bigger emotions of like having conversations. I think that's when it would hit you the most. And it wasn't a fear of like Mimi not being there, it was a fear of me not being there. And so it was really a conversation of like, how do I handle this? Because I was coming from a, a perception that my mom would always be there, right? At least through my 30s and into my 40s and into my 50s, even, that like my mom, even into my 60s, right? Like it was our kind of like like I was wired of like, no, mom's supposed to be here. However, I can't sit here and tell you that I will always be here, because look at the uncertainty and the unexpectedness that we just experienced with Mimi and with my mom. So having those conversations of like, um, I can't promise that I'm always going to be here, but where do we always live for each other? In our hearts. Yeah. And were there any other what other things did we do? Do you remember? And you still do it sometimes. Like how and where do we see Mimi?
Through red cardinals.
Yes.
The red cardinals, butterflies, specifically red cardinals.
Well, and also you talking about, I always say they live on in our hearts and in our memories. Like you talking about the feeling of her hands and that you can still like feel that. What other, whether it's a memory or like something, an attribute of her, like a characteristic about her, like what else helps you remember? Like obviously those, the signs, like the cardinals, what else helps you remember her?
I guess a lot of it is like seeing all of her old stuff. I guess she has a vest of Mimi's that she always wore. She always wore vests.
Oh, I
Always.
love that.
I've never seen her without a
I didn't know
vest.
that. That's awesome.
Yeah. She
was a big vest fan. She liked her torso to be warm.
Yeah, she was a very big vest fan.
Wait, does she have like holiday vests? I feel like that would be like a thing.
I mean,
not really.
The colors would change
with the season. Yes,
yeah. Depending on the season, like for example, like winter would be like blacks and grays, and then like autumn would be like more brighter browns, reds. Then summer was like deep yellows and stuff like that.
So like seeing her old, like some of her things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's
especially jewelry.
Her
a lot of jewelry, as you can see, she wears a lot of jewelry. But I just like, I've seen her. She always wore rings. She wore earrings, some necklaces sometimes. But yeah.
So when you see those things, and do you feel connected to Mimi still in that way? Yeah. Like by seeing those things, or awesome. What were some other tools that we used after we lost Mimi?
Kindermorn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we used an amazing organization called Kindermorn, and it is a organization that is for bereaving. I think it originated as bereaving parents, like parents that lose children, and then they started to expand for children who lose people in their lives, like whether it's a parent, a grandparent, a sibling. So that was a huge resource, because I think it was like the hospital provided my sister, my dad with like a year of bereavement counseling. And we were just because all of our kids, my sister's 3 and Amelia, were so close with my mom that we felt that they needed support. So I think we were with Miss Kayla for probably 2 years. And we were pretty consistent. You would go like once a week at the start, and then it tapered off maybe every other week. And then it got to a point where she was like, just call me if you feel something bubbling up and you want to get in there.
As needed or whatever.
As yes, exactly, as needed. And it's still a resource to this day. We haven't we talk about Miss Kayla. Do you want to share anything about your experiences with Kinder Morn?
I mean, it's a great organization. I mean, Miss Kayla, she was a great grief counselor for children. Most of the time, I drew while she talked to me and asked me how I was feeling. That was later on when I like started seeing her like every other week. But like when we first started seeing her, I've always had a problem with this. Like opening up right away. It takes like, I don't know, an egg. You gotta crack it a couple of times before it opens. But yeah, so like I at first I was very shy. I guess I didn't like want to talk about it. I didn't think I needed to get it out of my system, but I did. But yeah.
Do you think the drawing helped? Well, because you said that was like later, but do you think like drawing while she was talking to you or you were talking back helped you to open up a little bit or no?
I mean, I've always done art, well, more drawing my life, but yeah, I think it did help because I feel like I can't just sit down and have like a conversation with someone. Like right now, I'm tinkering with my jean little rips and straps and stuff like that. But I feel like it just something I wouldn't say I cannot multitask, but um I guess like yeah, drawing helped a lot because I was able to like because Miss Kayla often looked at my drawings. She wanted to see what I did draw, and she would draw with me sometimes while we talked. And yeah,
Do you remember one of the drawings that um I think it was like a nature scene?
mm-hmm.
And I think it was after you lost your papa too, right? So it's like there was, I think, a tree in the middle, and you drew like a bird and a bee. And so she was able to, and then you said who was who. And yeah, I think maybe just a sense of comfort, right? Well, one, allowing you to feel comfortable in the space, talking to someone new, uh, and also offering you tools and different ways to stay connected to the people that you've lost, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say is I think it's totally normal. You know her now. Obviously, you spent time with her for 2 years, but when it's a new person, no matter what the topic is, like, and this is a hard topic, but like if it's, you could be talking about, I don't know, what you're cooking tonight. It's like if you don't know that person that well, like it takes time to open up, right? So that would make sense that like it takes time. And then I think since you've always been an artist and a creative person, that helps you feel like comfortable in the space, like doing something that you are comfortable doing helps. Like, I think you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but like ease the situation maybe a little bit, it makes sense.
I feel like a lot of the times when I would draw while Miss Kayla would talk, I feel like my drawings definitely like shifted to what we would talk about. A lot of it was Mimi because she had pieces of paper there and she kept some of my drawings. Not later until I brought my own like sketchbook and stuff. But a lot of times I drew birds when we first started talking about Mimi. Um, I drew a lot of uh, I drew a lot of bees because I don't know, my papa just reminded me of bees. I like drawing animals. Yeah, so.
Well, and then what, 2 years later, we lost Aunt Sharon, right? To the same thing. Do you recall what it was like, that process of kind of experiencing losing Aunt Sharon? Because hers was a lot longer and we got to spend a lot more time with her when she was sick. Um, And then again, experiencing yet another funeral of someone that we loved. We were also very close with my Aunt Sharon. It was my mom's younger sister. Um, you want to speak anything about that or what you remember about that time?
I guess I at least was around a lot more people that time. I guess when my grandfather died, Papa, I have my dad's side does have a lot of family, but not as much as Aunt Sharon's, well, her family. But I guess it was kind of like, I wouldn't say better, but easier in a way, because when I first lost Mimi, I felt like I said, I couldn't talk to anybody, but I guess I've already experienced it, like about, I guess, like 4 times if you're counting my animals.
Yeah, no, those count. Those
Yeah, that
definitely
is a
count.
lot.
Those definitely count.
Yeah, my first dog, Callie, well, my first dog at least, was a boxer. She passed away. I don't remember, but I have a very distinct memory for poor eyes swelling up because she was allergic to grass. So my dad had to put a tarp down when she had to go to the bathroom. And then Sweetie, my beta fish, flushed her down the toilet. But
Wait, how old were you when both of those happened? You poor thing.
You were still a baby. I guess you were like 3 maybe when Callie passed away, if that, and then
Sweetie was like 5.
5-ish, maybe 4 or 5.
Our animal babies. We love them. Ugh, it's so rough. Sorry.
Yeah, and I just want to. I'm remembering too. Like Amelia talks about not being able to express herself, and maybe just because I'm mom, and she expresses herself very clearly to me. But I will point out too, I spoke at my mom's funeral, and Amelia insisted on coming up with me. And she was like, I want to say something too. And you very eloquently shared your feelings and thoughts with everyone that came to Mimi's funeral. Do I remember exactly what you said? No, I don't remember much of that day. And I can recall I have what I said written down. So it was very like I felt very called to write before and while my mom was sick and we found out about her sickness. And I wrote like this one installation and I read it to her. And I remember her telling me, you always had such a way with words. And it was just the way that like I was processing. I was like, I have to share all of this with her now. Like I just knew I had this feeling like if I don't say it now, I won't have the chance to say it to her. And so it was a kind of a revised version of that I read. And then I added some more I don't know, human or like kind of relatable things to people where what I read and had written was very personal between my mom and I.
That's amazing because a lot of people don't do that. Like some people do, but they wait and they are too afraid to say the things or they think they have time or whatever, right? Like we all want more time, but it's great that you had the like knowledge to be like, let me say the things. Like she's here, let me do it. So that's great.
Oh yeah.
I had one other question, Amelia, that I was thinking about because we talk a lot about community on this podcast, and you've talked about Kindermorn, you've talked about before we got on, we were talking about like Louise, like Tia Louise, right? Like the community can come in so many forms, and even like you were talking about the ultimate sleepover and being around your cousin. So like all of those are people in your corner in your community. Did you find that helpful, like being with your cousins? Sometimes I feel like in the moment, because it's like so immediate, like you might not even be aware, but do you feel like you've been surrounded by community?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a community, because I would I'm in my book, I think a community as somebody who shares an interest with multiple people. And do me and my cousins share multiple interests? Yes, but do they go to an art school? No, they do not. But it definitely did help. I'm pretty sure my second oldest, third oldest cousin, Eliza. I've always been really connected with Eliza, and especially after I started not kindergarten, but I started therapy like not
this year.
This year, yeah. She I felt the need to like really like talk to her more and
talk to Eliza,
mm-hmm.
your cousin,
because she doesn't have a sister. I'm an only child, so and I don't see my other girl cousins as much as I would like to. But I guess she's always like I was always able to just talk to her because I was able to sit down and have a conversation with her, looking her directly in the eye, and she would try and answer me.
like having that sense of being connected to the people, to someone that is here with you. Mm-hmm. And she experienced something very like the way that she experienced grief is different than you've experienced it, yet you lost
the same person.
Yes, the person that was very close to both of you. How has this experience, whether it's Mimi, Papa, Aunt Sharon, your other aunts, your pets, do you feel like these losses in your life have changed or informed who you are at all?
I guess, yeah, a lot. I guess in a way that when my family members passed away and pets did pass away, it was also a good thing. And I'm not saying I was happy about them dying, but it was a good thing because if I never experienced anybody passing away, then when somebody eventually did, I would be not ready for the subject or not prepared for it. And I guess I sometimes do have this fear, but I don't live in constant fear that like because I have two dogs right now. I have Miles, which he just turned 7, and I've had him for a while, 7 years. But I guess I do fear a lot of the times that I know that he is going to pass away eventually, and yeah, and same with my other dog, Beatrice. She's not as old as him, but
she's immortal. No. Do you feel like those? So you're saying that the experiences of loss that you've had have provided you with tools of how you will handle those losses?
Yeah, I mean they could, and I've only lost 3 people and only 2 pets in my life, but I'm sure I will lose more people and pets in the future because nothing really is immortal. Everything dies at one point.
Has it kind of brought that awareness and attention that everything is not always going to be as it is, right? That's a big lesson for a 7-year-old to learn and come to that realization, right?
Yeah. I guess as a 7-year-old, I knew what death was because, Sweetie and Callie, but I didn't really my mind didn't really comprehend the fact that people did die. People died, not just animals. But
when you did experience your great grandmother, you were alive for her, and when she passed away, but you were a baby. So
who?
Mama, my grandmother, your great grandmother, Mimi's mother.
Oh, I don't really remember.
Right, so you don't recall, right? Like, so you had been she was there with me at the funeral. You probably were I don't know, maybe 2 when it happened, and yeah, and I've talked about this before, so it's like the crazy. Actually, it was a double funeral at the funeral home in New Orleans where my mom's like entire family has been buried. So it is a funeral home steeped in like even in my childhood memories.
Wait, so it was your grandmother and then who else? Like,
Her brother, they died on the same night. Mm-hmm. Yeah, after, gosh, not after, of course it was after Hurricane Katrina. My grandmother had like six brothers and sisters, and it was like after the hurricane, they all declined pretty rapidly. Mama held on. She was 94. Her brother, I believe it was Uncle Raymond, he died first, and she waited like an hour. She was like, nope, I'm going to have the last breath. I'm going to be the last one. And so we had a double funeral, so it's like, I think that was the first time Amelia was with me. And then I'm there and I'm at these funerals, which we've been doing for my great grandmother. That was the first one I can remember. My uncle, my mom's oldest brother. I'm sure there were some in between, but then most directly was my Aunt Sue. And then my grandmother's brothers and sisters. And then eventually, my grandfather also. Yeah, so it's just like I have these constant memories in that space. And then to have my child there with her cousins creating memories in this, space in this funeral, like that was really wild for me to witness. And then even, going back to Aunt Sharon's funeral, it's like they were older and they were more, the kids were older and able to comprehend what was going on and happening. Yet they're, making the finger sandwiches and um, the kitchenette area, which is and passing it out to everyone, making sure everyone got a donut, right? Which is what we used to do as kids for our family, right? Do you need something to drink? Well, we'll get it for you, right? And um, yeah, kind of a wild experience. I do remember at Aunt Sharon's, it was, I guess, right before Christmas. And so they had a ornament tree, and you could take the ornaments and you could decorate them. You could write, someone's name on it. You could either hang it on the tree. I think Amelia made like 4. She's like, I'll hang 2 on the tree and then 2 are for us. Right. And there's like, in those little ways are the, some of the ways in which we remember and honor. Is there anything that, I think that's like a good segue, like anything that you do, whether it's in like your art or performing or day-to-day, any day-to-day rituals you do to remember and honor the people that you've lost, your pets?
Not all of, like, very rarely does my art have an explanation behind it. I'll just draw whatever I'm feeling, not really feeling, but like whatever I want to. Could be at school, could be at home, could be in the car, but it could be on my hands. But a lot of the times, I guess to honor Mimi a lot is I'm pretty sure it's on our windowsill, but I had a little glass bird, and it was a yellow bird at the time. I really don't know where he came from.
Mama.
Mama.
My grandmother, your great
Oh,
grandmother.
because she had a giant shelf of all the birds, and she let us take one. And I picked out this one yellow bird, stuck out to me, and I named him Wilbur from Charlotte and the Web.
Charlotte's Web. Yes.
Charlotte's Web, and eventually, like after Mimi died, we found a red cardinal that was like the same like material and stuff like that. But I guess like glancing at that thing just always even just seeing a red cardinal in general just always reminds me of her. And I may be scared of bees, but I still still reminds me of my papa when I do see bees and stuff like that. So.
Are you allergic, or are you just like, I don't want to be stung?
I don't know.
we don't want to find out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've been stung by a bee, but no.
But it welds up so bad.
Yeah, it hurts so bad. I hate bee stings.
Get the bird.
You want to go get the bird? Okay. For anyone who's tuning in to see the bird.
Yes, visually, I want to see the bird. That's so cool. Wasn't your grandmother's favorite color yellow? Do I remember that? Is that right?
Yellow.
The bird?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so she had like on her windowsill above her kitchen sink. She had a little collection of birds, and so when she passed away, and she had left things, and she had jewelry as well. So she was like, "I want the great grandchildren to get pick from these items." She wanted my mom and my Aunt Sharon to, when it came to the jewelry, like there were certain pieces she left to them. And then she had us all by age until everything was spoken for.
I love that. I mean, I love that you all were talking about it, and like just being like, hey.
Yeah, she was very clear. I mean, that's another thing and another conversation we could probably go down of like, making that preparation, making sure, and that's something that I've always has been more at the forefront of like having a living will in case something happens to me, right? And being clear with Hudson and Amelia of like, I don't want to be buried.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Like after, I don't know, after my dad died, I was like getting our affairs in order. So I don't know if it was like after your mom. Let's see it.
Okay, so Rip Wilbur's tail.
Oh my gosh.
Wait. We're mourning Wilbur's.
He doesn't even
No, we haven't. We have to glue it back on.
Yeah, we have
We
it.
just gotta glue it. Wilbur's cute though. Oh my gosh, so cute.
That's Wilbur.
Yeah, do you have the cardinal?
This is Mimi.
No, you named her Charlotte.
Charlotte, yes.
So Wilbur and Charlotte. Get out of here. I love that.
And then Charlotte.
That's sweet.
And then, I don't know, my Mimi's husband, my other papa that's still alive, he gave me this.
Amazing.
I don't know.
That's
I just thought
cute.
I should bring it.
I love them. Yeah, so do you just got them from where, the windowsill, or where do you have them?
Yeah, okay. They all sit on the windowsill.
That's so cute. I love that. See, that's cool.
In our kitchen.
Yeah,
that's perfect. That's like, yeah, it's like a very visible reminder.
Yes,
see them every morning when I'm on my way to school.
Yeah,
give me the energy to power through.
Yes, I know. School. Ugh.
They do. That's a great thing to. Yeah. Do you ever have the urge to talk to anyone that your ancestors?
I mean, I don't necessarily like talk to my ancestors because I don't know who my ancestors are.
So they're all the people that came before you in your family, silly.
So you're an ancestor?
I am.
Oh. You're that old?
Okay, focus.
I wouldn't say talk to. I mean, I guess talk to ancestors, but I talk to this thing. I put it up to my lips and I talk to it. I don't know whose it is. We found it when we were cleaning out.
What is it? Can you hold it closer? Oh, is it like a locket?
Yeah, it's a.
Okay, I see. Yeah,
locket.
Oh, I love that. It's beautiful. Okay, so you like hold it to your mouth and like kind of. Oh, I love that. It's beautiful.
Doesn't work.
It's okay. I have my grandmother's watches and they do not work, but I wear them. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, and we don't know the chain is one of her friends. She gave it to me. We traded jewelry or something, but and then the charm we found in here, and she let me have it. Still don't know whose it is, but
I bought that charm from
I thought it was special.
It is special. I bought it.
She's like, don't dash my dreams.
I've just busted my bubble.
Dashing my dreams.
Sorry. One more question for you. If a friend or someone, a peer of like around the same age, or maybe even not, maybe someone you know, um, was experiencing or did experience a loss and came to you just for comfort, what is something you would offer them?
It depends, like, what they like, because when I was walking at my old school, I was walking on my way to the car, and it was like a pretty long hike. So I looked at my phone, and my best friend Mavis, she had texted me that her dog Harmony had died, and I was like, because I've seen Harmony, I've slept with Harmony, I know who Harmony is, and I know she had like 2 tumors in her legs, but I guess Mavis definitely experiences grief more than more than I do. She is she's like me. She doesn't talk about it, um, but she like doesn't talk about it for
Like
a
she
while.
internalizes grief more so.
She like lets it build up and build up and build up inside of her until like she just has to, like, she's forced to talk about it. And I had, because I'm pretty sure I was seeing her the week of, like a couple of days before,
Or
after a couple of days after, and I saw Harmony a couple of days before, and she seemed fine. She was walking around. She's an old dog, but I really didn't expect her to just die. But I had told Mavis that I was here for her, and if she ever needed to talk, or if she ever needed to call me late at night to talk about it, I was here for her. And if she ever needed to see me or talk to me about, because she's lost animals before. She has tons of cats. Like, she has like 8 cats right now, and tons of cats. And she's lost cats before, but when she was like a baby, like me, when you don't remember things, I started remembering things like around 3. But shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Is there, yeah, like I guess the question was like, is there any, like, what would you offer to, whether it's something that you've done or something that you've learned or something that's helped you process? Because, right, like sometimes it hits us, right? Like let's see, it'll be 5 years this year since we lost Mimi. Like I had an experience a couple days ago where grief just kind of came over me, and all I could do was cry about it and think about how I wanted my mommy here to hug me. And, and I think it's in those moments, there are some times where I'll be crying, and I don't cry that often, but I cry in front of you. I don't try to hide it, right? And you'll say, Mommy, are you okay? And I'll just be through my tears. I'll be all right. And sometimes like it's in the car. I do have like 2 very distinct memories. Like sometimes it's just the intention of asking if someone needs something or if they want to talk about it. Sometimes you'll just like reach over and hold my hand, right? And I'll think about you holding Mimi's hand now from now on, and like rubbing my fingers and my knuckles.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say is like, Amelia, it sounds like, your answer already is great. Like, you're like, I would just ask her if she needs me, and like ask her if she wants to talk, and like letting someone know that you're just there and available as a resource is amazing.
Last weekend, last weekend when we were in the mountains, I just had like, it was late at night and I couldn't seem to fall asleep because the air there was dry and I was having a nosebleed. So, and like, just like this thought came over me, and I think deeply sometimes when either putting up a ponytail or tying my shoes or having a nosebleed. I just like, this thought came over me and I was like, I can't remember how Mimi's voice sounds. I don't. remember how her voice sounds anymore. And like I like started sobbing, and I was like so mad at myself that like how could you forget how she sounded? And
I totally get that.
Well, the good thing is we have some recordings, so I'll remind you. But I have those thoughts too, right? Of like, oh, sometimes I can clearly hear her voice, and other times, right? But I think that's one of the main reasons, why we're here and why we do the Morning Call podcast is to bring these experiences forward and to let people know that they're not alone in those experiences, and that there is, like, the more we talk about it and the more that it is a regular conversation, we do create a community of people to connect with through that shared experience of loss.
Totally agree.
Any last thoughts or comments you would like to add?
I guess especially like now I have like a certain object that reminds me of a certain person. Like I have Wilbur and Charlotte to remind me of Mimi, and I have she has Aunt Sharon's jewelry and she wears it sometimes. So I guess finding a object where you can just recognize when that's I know them. I know them. They're here, and they're with us when I see that object.
I love that. That's such good advice.
Well, thank you, Amelia.
Yeah.
For joining us on the Morning Call podcast. Watch out, world. She's going to steal my spot. I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
I'll share it with you anyway.
Another co-host. Watch out now.
Watch out.
Thank you, Amelia, for your time and for sharing. And I think you were very, you say it's hard for you to share, but you were very open. So we appreciate it very much so.
Thank you. I spent like 2 hours thinking about what I was going to say last night, but
Oh, good. Well, thank you for doing that too.
Yeah, thanks for the prep work.
Charlotte and Wilbur say goodbye.
Oh, bye, Charlotte and Wilbur.
Thank you for joining the Morning Call podcast. Our intention is that you found a nugget of hope, inspiration, connection, or all of the above.
If you seek to dive deeper with the Morning Call community, email us, subscribe to our page, leave a review, and fill out our survey.
We want to hear your stories and widen the conversation to support and empower our grief experiences as we collectively become our true selves.
Find us and subscribe on all streaming platforms, YouTube, and at Morning Call Podcast on Instagram. You can also email us at morningcallpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast was edited by Alexis Carrasquillo from Familia Creative Media.